Right guys, Manchester United have just beaten Newcastle in the League Cup final and it was a game where Newcastle largely dominated, but United never looked uncomfortable. I don't think United they got their couple of goals just before half time, and yeah, they saw it through in the second half and did really well to win the game in the end. Newcastle, I looked at the starting 11 and Saint-Maximin being in the team, and Saint-Maximin played really well today, don't get me wrong, and he played really well last week against my team, Liverpool. But I've just been thinking, like, even though he has played well, I don't know if he fits in the team as well as some of the other players do, because Newcastle this season have been at their best when they've actually had either Jacob Murphy starting on the left, or either that, or having Joe Linton and Joe Willock on the left, sort of rotating, swapping between midfield and left wing. So I don't think that's ideal, not having Joe Willock fully fit, and I don't think Newcastle have looked at their best over the previous few weeks when they've been missing Joe Willock and also Bruno Guimaraes. I think they are two players who are vitally important to the team, and Guimaraes was struggling throughout the game. He did brilliantly, in fairness to him, because it was clear from like the 15th minute in that he was going to be struggling, and to last as long as he did in this game, I have to say well done and fair play to him. Because he deserved to be on the winning team today, I think. United, though, it was a perfect game plan from Erik ten Hag. They knew that Newcastle were going to come at them with, energy and like intensity and desire to win this game on the front foot. And what United did, what Erik ten Hag set them up to do, was defend, not like get 11 men behind the balls to say, but make sure that they're well positioned, have the back four stay back. Like we saw that Luke Shaw and Diogo Dalot weren't getting forward much in the first half, and Dalot did get subbed off at half time for Wan-Bissaka when United did get the 2 goals, which I thought was another smart move from Ten Hag, because I think he sort of felt confident that United could hold on to the 2-goal lead in the second half, and to be honest, I think he was completely correct in doing so. I did say to my mates before the game that I felt as though if United scored first, it was less likely that Newcastle were going to be able to win this game or win the cup, rather than if Newcastle scored first. I always felt as though United were a lot more likely to come from behind and win than Newcastle were. So to me, it felt very important to Newcastle that they did get the first goal in this game, which they didn't manage to do. They did dominate in the opening half an hour and pretty much the entire second half, but they failed to get that goal that they ever so needed. And yeah, the opening goal came from Casemiro. For me, the player of the season this year, he's definitely the player that's made the most difference to the team, I think. I know the awards will probably go to Haaland, but if you ask me who's made the bigger difference to the team since coming into the team, I would say Casemiro, because Man City won the league last year without Haaland. Are they going to win the league this year? They might not. Casemiro, if you look at United last year, were they ever going to win a trophy last year? Definitely not. Are they going to win a trophy this year? They have done, and they might win another 2, or who knows, either another 3. I think all 3, all 4 now, all 4 this season, Europa League and FA Cup and Premier League on top of today. I think that's very unlikely, but the fact that we're even talking about a quadruple, I think you've got to put down to not only Casemiro, he is a big reason why, but also the signings of Martinez. Anthony's played his part now after initially, going off the boil a little bit after a good first few games. As well as that, Weghorst, since he's coming in January, he's done a good job as well. So yeah, I think let's cut to the chase. Ten Hag as well, as like Casemiro, Martinez, and the other signings. Ten Hag has just revolutionised this team. The difference he's made is stark in contrast. I just think there's this one story for me that I think could be potentially a turning point. I don't know the full ins and outs of it. I'm not a United fan, but I heard this story about how after the Brentford game at the start of the season, you know, everyone knows the infamous Brentford game now, the 4-0. I think it was that there was something like Brentford ran something like 14 kilometres more than United combined as a team. So I think Ten Hag did something like they made the players run that distance in training the next day, but he said that he was going to join them in the run. I think that almost, if you're a player and that happens, it almost makes it feel like the manager's in this with us. It's not like he's just punishing the players, he's punishing himself as well. So I think if you're a Man United player and your manager does that, like makes himself join in with the punishments as well, I think you feel that gives you a feeling of, you know, he cares. He definitely wants, you know, the best for us, and he you know, isn't just blaming us. He sees that he's made a couple of mistakes in that game as well. So I think that is incredible management from Ten Hag, and I think ever since then, the way he dealt with the Ronaldo situation, I think other managers could have allowed that to continue and potentially derail the season for Man United. So I think the way that Ten Hag has dealt with many situations across this season for Man United has been absolutely superb. So he's a manager I really like, and you know, I think he deserves what happened today. Because it was the way he set the team up that did really well. Casemiro's goal, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was a nailed-on free kick, but obviously VAR doesn't happen for free kicks. So, and even if VAR did happen, I don't think it's one that was a clear and obvious error. It was just a little bit soft for me. But Shaw takes a brilliant free kick, and it's a brilliant header from Casemiro as well. The one criticism I'd make of Newcastle for the goal was that I think the line was a little bit too high. I think it should have been maybe a couple of yards deeper. I know the way teams go about defending free kicks today in today's game is to go for a higher line than what they used to, but I think Newcastle maybe pushed it a little bit too far forward today. And the second goal, it's brilliant play from Weghorst and Rashford. Rashford sort of drags the shot, actually. I think it was going right because they did give the goal as an own goal to Botman. Botman does what he has to do. He tries to get something on it to block the shot. In the end, he deflects it up in the air and there's nothing Karius can do. I think the fact that some people are even questioning whether Karius was at fault for the goal, it is bizarre to me, because I don't think there's anything you can do about that as a goalkeeper. I think, to be honest, people are looking for Karius to make an error today just so it fits along with the storyline of, same old Karius. But I think he did himself proud today. I think that there was very few occasions where he was tested, because Newcastle did dominate the game and United didn't get forward that often. But yeah, I think on the couple of occasions where he was tested, he dealt with the shots comfortably. So, you know, I'm happy for him that he didn't, you know, have a rough game after, you know, 2 years out of professional football, effectively actually playing a professional game. I think he was playing for Union Berlin 2 years ago, the last time he played. He hasn't played in English football of any kind for nearly 5 years now. So, you know, considering the circumstances, he's not done too badly today. I don't think he deserves any criticism of any kind, and I don't think Newcastle do, to be honest, because I think Newcastle were the underdogs going into today's game. and they gave it a good go. On another day, they get their goal, and it is a different game. I'm not saying they would win, but I think, you know, a Newcastle goal does make it a different situation for United, and it would be a lot more interesting because Newcastle are a team who are very strong defensively, and today they made an uncharacteristic error in the way they defended the free kick, I think. But I think that's more managerial, so you could possibly question Eddie Howe for how he set them up in training to defend free kicks like that. And also the second goal, it is a freak goal at the end of the day. I think even Rashford or anyone United fans would admit that on another day that shot from Rashford just goes wide, or Botman blocks it and it goes out for a corner. So it's just one of them. Newcastle were unlucky today, but it was a brilliant game plan from Ten Hag, and in the end, in the second half, Newcastle kept pushing, but that goal just wouldn't come for them. De Gea was forced into a couple of saves, but I think the one thing Newcastle will be a bit disappointed in was the actual lack of clear-cut chances they managed to create with the amount of possession they did have, and they didn't test De Gea enough, even though he did have to make a couple of saves in the second half. So yeah, I think Newcastle will feel a bit disappointed in the dressing room right now, but you know they've got to look forwards now, because they can't allow this result to affect them for the rest of the season. They've got a race to get top four now, with Tottenham winning early again today in a big game against Chelsea. That they've got a lot to do now, so it will be interesting to see. I think even if they get a European spot this season, I think if you look back at what people expected at the start of the season, I think just getting a European spot would be a good achievement based on that. But I think right now they'll be disappointed if they don't get Champions League this season. I don't think they will, but if they do, that would be a huge achievement for them. I think Europa League is more realistic, but yeah, they're definitely going in the right direction, and I'm going to make a prediction now. I think they win a trophy before 2030. I think that's not a bold prediction, to be honest. Okay, I'll make it a bit more bold. I'll go before 2028. They'll win a trophy. By 2028, they'll win a trophy. There, I've said it. Yeah, Eddie Howe's definitely got them going in the right direction. But yeah, for United, first trophy in 6 years, and they'll be buzzing with that. I think, I can't remember it's certainly not in my lifetime, but I think you're probably going back to the 1980s since United last went 6 years without winning the trophy. It might even be the 70s, who knows. But yeah, brilliant day for them, and yeah, some brilliant performances in their team defensively. I thought Martinez, after the early clash of heads he had with Shaw, where both players came off with cuts, he defended brilliantly, and pretty much the entire United defence and Fred and Casemiro in midfield. There wasn't a bad performer in United's team, basically. So yeah, well done to them, and yeah, anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.